Before they had the mansions, before they flew private, before they signed the billion-dollar deals, they had something else. Not money, not connections, not fame. They had habits, small, invisible rituals repeated daily that most people would never notice, most people wouldn't respect, and most people would never do. But they did, and that made all the difference. Napoleon Hill spent 25 years studying the most successful men in the world: Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison, Ford, and more. And what he discovered changed the world forever. He proved that success wasn't luck. It wasn't birthright. It wasn't chance. It was cause and effect. You act a certain way. You think a certain way. You move a certain way, and results follow. So, if you want to know why billionaires win consistently, look at their habits. Let's begin.
Habit 1. Definite purpose daily. Billionaires don't wake up wondering what to do. They wake up to execute a mission. Napoleon Hill called it the definite chief aim, a clearly defined goal, so strong it becomes a spiritual obsession. Not a wish, not a vague desire, but a precise, written, emotionally charged vision of what they're building. They read it daily, they speak it, they see it when they close their eyes. This is the difference between drifting and dominating. Most people live on autopilot. Billionaires live on target lock. Pause here for a moment. When Hill studied Andrew Carnegie, he discovered that Carnegie had written his definite chief aim on a piece of paper that he carried in his pocket for over 20 years. 20 years! The same paper, folded, worn, but read every single day. This wasn't just a goal, it was an identity statement. Carnegie wasn't just pursuing wealth, he was becoming the person who deserved that wealth. And here's what most people don't understand. Your definite chief aim isn't about what you want, it's about who you need to become. The difference is subtle, but transformational. When you want something, you hope it comes to you. When you become someone, you magnetize it into your life. Here's the deeper truth Hill discovered. Most people set goals like they're writing a grocery list. They want this, they want that, they want something else. But billionaires don't set multiple goals. They choose one burning desire, one definite chief aim, and they subordinate everything else to that single focus. Why? Because scattered energy produces scattered results, but focused energy moves mountains. Hill observed that every billionaire he studied could tell you their definite chief aim in one sentence, one clear, powerful sentence, not a paragraph, not a speech, one sentence that contained their entire future. That's the power of definiteness of purpose. Habit 2. Silent self-suggestion. They don't just set goals, they program them into their minds. Napoleon Hill called it auto-suggestion, a daily ritual of feeding your subconscious with your definite aim until it becomes reality. No, it's not magic. It's repetition plus emotion plus belief equals identity. Billionaires speak differently to themselves. They rehearse success in their minds. They don't just visualize, they internalize. When you repeat something with belief, you rewire your brain. You become the person who expects success, not hopes for it. That's not positive thinking, that's mental training.
But here's what Hill discovered that will shift your perspective entirely. Autosuggestion works 24 hours a day, whether you realize it or not. Your subconscious mind is constantly being programmed. The question isn't if it's being programmed. The question is, who's doing the programming? Is it you, consciously, intentionally? Or is it the negative voices, the doubts, the fears, other people's opinions? Hill found that successful people take conscious control of this process. They become the programmers of their own minds. Every single day, before the world can fill them with doubt, they fill their minds with conviction. Thomas Edison did this. Henry Ford did this. John D. Rockefeller did this. They understood that the battle for success isn't fought in the outer world. It's fought in the silent territory of the mind. And whoever wins that inner battle wins the outer war. Here's how Hill said to do it. Find a quiet place. Read your definite chief aim out loud. See yourself already in possession of what you desire. Feel the emotions you'll feel when you achieve it. Do this morning and night without fail. This isn't wishful thinking. This is subconscious programming. Your mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you repeatedly imagine success with emotion, your mind accepts it as reality. And then it starts working to make the outside world match the inside picture. Habit 3. Controlled attention. Focus is the new currency, and billionaires guard theirs like gold. They don't dabble, they go deep. Napoleon Hill said, "Concentration of effort and enthusiasm upon a definite objective is the beginning of all worthwhile achievement." Billionaires train themselves to say no to almost everything. They protect their mornings. They don't chase trends, they set them. And when they work, they enter a different frequency. No noise, no scroll, no distraction, just fire. And this isn't discipline, it's devotion. But let me share something Hill observed that will shock you. The average person makes over 35,000 decisions per day, from what to wear, to what to eat, to what to watch. Billionaires have drastically reduced the number of decisions they need to make. They've automated the small choices so they can focus all their mental energy on the big ones. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day, not out of laziness, but to preserve mental energy for decisions that actually mattered. Mark Zuckerberg does the same. Barack Obama did the same when he was president. They understood something profound. Your capacity to make good decisions is limited. It's like a muscle that gets tired, so they conserve that energy for where it really counts. While the average person wastes mental energy deciding what to have for lunch, billionaires are using that same energy for million-dollar decisions. This isn't just about focus. This is about strategic mental architecture. Hill also discovered this about controlled attention. Most people think concentration means forcing your mind to focus, but true concentration is different. It's not forcing your mind onto something. It's removing everything else so only one thing remains. It's not addition, it's subtraction. The master sculptor doesn't add to the marble. He removes everything that isn't the statue. Similarly, the master of attention doesn't add more focus. They remove more distractions. This is why billionaires are ruthless about their environment. They design their space, their schedule, their relationships to eliminate anything that doesn't serve their definite chief aim. Habit 4. Decision without delay. Hill observed that every successful person he studied made decisions quickly and changed them slowly. Why? Because doubt is the enemy of progress, and indecision is the seed of failure. Most people overthink. Billionaires act. They don't have more answers, they have more movement. They know that clarity comes from action, not thought. So while others sit on the fence, they build, they test, they learn, they adjust, but they move. Success is not about knowing everything. It's about becoming the kind of person who decides fast and learns fast. Here's a story Hill told that will change how you see decision-making. When Henry Ford decided to create the V8 engine, his engineers told him it was impossible, physically impossible. Ford didn't argue. He didn't present evidence. He didn't try to convince them. He simply said, "Produce it anyway." The engineers worked for months, saying it couldn't be done. Ford kept saying, "Produce it anyway." 6 months later, they figured out how to do it. What Hill realized was this: Ford didn't make the decision based on what was possible. He made the decision based on what was necessary. And then reality bent to meet his decision. This is the difference between leaders and followers. Followers make decisions based on current reality. Leaders make decisions based on the reality they want to create. But here's the deeper principle Hill discovered. Most people delay decisions because they're waiting for certainty. But certainty is the enemy of growth. You will never have all the information. You will never eliminate all the risk. You will never be 100% sure. But billionaires have learned to be comfortable with uncertainty. They make decisions with incomplete information and use feedback to course correct. They'd rather be wrong and moving than right and stuck. Because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates miracles. Hill said, "Indecision is a habit which usually begins in youth and grows stronger with age." Don't let that be your story. Habit 5. Persistence beyond pain. You will not win if you quit when it gets hard, and it always gets hard. But billionaires don't stop. They persist, even when the dream looks dead. Napoleon Hill said, "Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting." Persistence is not just effort, it's faith in motion. It's showing up after failure. It's bleeding and still believing. Most people retreat at the first no. Billionaires go through 99 rejections and show up smiling for number 100. Why? Because they are not emotionally attached to obstacles. They are spiritually committed to the outcome. That's not motivation, that's mental muscle. Let me share the most powerful story Hill ever told about persistence. He met a man named R.U. Darby, who quit a gold mine when he was just 3 feet away from the biggest vein of gold in the region. 3 feet. Darby sold his equipment to a junk dealer for a few $100s. The junk dealer brought in an engineer to examine the mine. The engineer said the gold was just 3 feet away from where Darby had stopped digging. The junk dealer extracted millions of dollars from that mine. Hill used this story to illustrate a vital point. Most people quit right when they're closest to success, not because it got harder, but because it always gets harder before the breakthrough. The goal is always further than you think, and always closer than you imagine. Persistence isn't about never giving up. It's about never giving up too soon. But here's the secret Hill discovered about persistence. It's not a quality you're born with. It's a habit you develop, and you develop it by starting small. If you can't persist in waking up 15 minutes earlier, how will you persist through a business crisis? If you can't persist in reading 10 pages a day, how will you persist through years of rejection? Persistence is like a muscle. You strengthen it with daily small exercises. Hill also discovered this about true persistence. Most people think persistence means doing the same thing over and over, but that's not persistence. That's stubbornness. True persistence means staying committed to the outcome while being flexible about the method. Edison didn't find 10,000 ways that didn't work making the light bulb. He found 10,000 ways that taught him how it would work. Each failure was actually intelligence. Each setback was actually set up. That's the persistence of a billionaire mindset. Habit 6. Mastermind alliances. No one builds an empire alone. Every billionaire has a team of minds behind them, people who sharpen them, challenge them, push them, open doors they didn't even know existed. Napoleon Hill called it the Mastermind principle, a friendly alliance of two or more minds harmonized toward a common goal. The mind becomes more powerful when it's linked with others. Ideas compound, confidence grows, doubt disappears. This is not networking. This is mental multiplication. If you're alone, you're limited. But when you're surrounded by people who breathe life into your dream, you become unbreakable. Hill discovered something fascinating about masterminds. When two or more people align in perfect harmony for a common purpose, something magical happens. Each individual mind seems to gain power from the other minds in the group. 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. 2 plus 2 equals 10, or 20, or 100. It's an exponential multiplication of mental capacity. Hill saw this in action when he studied Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie surrounded himself with over 50 men who became millionaires through their association with him. But here's what's remarkable. Carnegie had less formal education than most of his associates, yet he became the richest man in the world at the time. How? He understood that you don't need to know everything. You need to know people who know everything. Carnegie's mastermind was his competitive advantage. It was like having a board of advisors in his head, available 24/7 to help him make decisions. But here's the deeper principle Hill revealed. Most people think mastermind groups are about getting help, but the real power comes from giving help. When you contribute value to others' dreams, they become invested in your success. Carnegie didn't just take from his mastermind. He gave generously to each member's growth and success, and in return, they gave him their best thinking, their strongest efforts, their unwavering loyalty. This is the law of reciprocity in action. Give first, and receiving becomes automatic. Here's how to build your own mastermind. Start with 2 to 3 people who share your ambition level. Meet regularly, weekly or monthly. Share your goals, challenges, and victories openly. Commit to helping each other succeed. Hold each other accountable with love, not judgment. Remember, a mastermind isn't about finding people who think like you. It's about finding people who think for you when your own thinking isn't enough.
Habit 7. Time for thinking. Yes, they think deeply, daily. Billionaires schedule solitude. Napoleon Hill had a thinking hour. No noise, no distractions, just a notepad and the mind. Why? Because answers don't come from the world, they come from within. Great ideas are not born from pressure, they are born from stillness. Most people are busy reacting. Billionaires respond from reflection. Even 15 minutes a day of silent thinking can change your trajectory, because thinking, intentional, quiet thinking, is where solutions are born. But here's what Hill discovered about the thinking process. There are 2 types of thinking: active thinking and passive thinking. Active thinking is when you're trying to solve a problem. You're forcing your mind to work on something specific. Passive thinking is when you quiet your conscious mind and let your subconscious present solutions. Most people only do active thinking. They try to force answers through mental effort. But billionaires master passive thinking. They ask their subconscious a question and then get quiet enough to hear the answer. Hill called this infinite intelligence, the source of all ideas. Every great invention, every breakthrough business model, every creative solution came through this process of passive thinking. Edison would sit in his chair with steel balls in his hands. When he started to fall asleep, the balls would drop and wake him. In that drowsy state between sleep and waking, he received his greatest insights. Tesla would walk for hours in silence, letting his mind wander until solutions appeared. Einstein said his greatest discoveries came not from thinking harder, but from thinking differently. This is why billionaires guard their thinking time so fiercely. In a world of constant noise and stimulation, quiet thinking has become a superpower. While everyone else is consuming information, billionaires are creating insights. While everyone else is reacting to the news, billionaires are creating the future. Your daily thinking time isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's where your next breakthrough is waiting.
Habit 8. Acting as if. They don't wait to be successful to behave like it. They act as if now. Hill said, "You will receive not what you idly wish for, but what you justly earn. Your reward will be in exact proportion to your service." Billionaires behave like their future selves. They talk with conviction. They dress with intent. They walk with purpose. They act like it's already done, because they know that identity creates reality. You don't fake it. You build it from the inside out. But here's what Hill meant by acting as if. It's not about pretending or being fake. It's about embodying the person you're becoming. When you act as if you're already successful, you start making decisions like a successful person. You invest in yourself like someone who's worth investing in. You speak with the confidence of someone who's already won. You carry yourself like someone who belongs at the top. And when you consistently act this way, the world starts treating you this way. Hill observed this pattern in every billionaire he studied. They all had what he called applied faith. They acted on their beliefs before they had proof. Carnegie acted like a steel magnate before he owned a steel company. Ford acted like an auto manufacturer before he built his first car. Edison acted like an inventor before he had his first patent. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for proof. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They started acting as if their dream was already real. And eventually, reality caught up to their acting. This is the power of identity-based transformation. Most people try to change from the outside in. They think, when I have the money, then I'll feel wealthy. When I have the business, then I'll feel like an entrepreneur. When I have the success, then I'll feel confident. But billionaires work from the inside out. They feel wealthy first, then money comes. They feel like entrepreneurs first, then businesses come. They feel confident first, then success comes. Because your external world is always a reflection of your internal world. Change your identity, and your reality will follow. You can build these habits too. The difference between a billionaire and a broke dreamer isn't potential, it's patterns. Habits multiplied daily. Thoughts shaped deliberately. Actions taken with conviction. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need to be a genius. You don't even need a breakthrough today. You need habits. And Napoleon Hill gave you the blueprint nearly a century ago. But here's what Hill would tell you if he were alive today. Don't try to implement all 8 habits at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm and failure. Choose one, master it for 30 days, then add another. Maybe start with definite purpose. Write down your burning desire in one clear sentence. Read it every morning and every night for a month. Or start with controlled attention. Eliminate one major distraction from your life. Protect 1 hour each day for focused work. Or start with decision without delay. Make faster decisions on small things this week. Build the muscle of decisiveness. The key is consistency, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Remember what Hill discovered. Success isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. Every morning you have a choice. Will you drift through the day like most people? Or will you live with the intention and focus of a billionaire? Will you react to life, or will you create it? The habits are simple. The results are extraordinary. Now it's your turn.
If you felt this, don't scroll past it. Subscribe now to stay connected to this kind of truth. Like this video to let the algorithm know you're serious. And share it with someone building something bigger than themselves. We're not chasing wealth. We're building it with intention, one habit at a time. This is the Napoleon Hill way. Let's go.